Okay, we're gonna start with the agenda, which would be number 1.
Yes. Then
Yeah, we have a presentation. We have a presentation from the Main Street Business Alliance to the Main Street Business Alliance budget, Chris Bernardo.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Very nice to be here. We are pleased to be here tonight to present the FY22 budget of the Main Street Business Alliance, the District Management Corporation for the Main Street Business Improvement District. What you have before you tonight is a $463,291 special assessment request. This represents a zero increase from last year with the assessment request. We are addressing, I think, all of the main issues that we've all seen on the, on the avenue, on Main Street, and storefront improvements, special events, trying to increase footfall on Main Street. We would be happy to answer any questions that you have tonight regarding the program.
Council?
I have some. I mean, I think I see it here itemized, but, we're hoping that one of the things, one of the focus this year of the Alliance is to work in conjunction with our building department in getting some of the storefronts cleaned up so that they comply to the city ordinance. And, I think if we could get that done in conjunction with the Alliance, it would be huge, and I think I see that you have some grant money there, just, some of the folks that were struggling that could really maybe just use a little help to get some of that done. That would be great. And I think all the council have talked about this. I know Bridget, we kind of let it go, because of COVID, we really weren't enforcing things because folks were struggling. But now we want to get back on track, and we don't want to have to summons businesses because they're not complying to the ordinance, especially as far as the window display and window coverages. And a lot of it is a safety issue. If you really can't see inside of the storefront because it's totally covered from top to bottom, it's really, from a security standpoint, when we have police patrolling at different hours, like at least if they can see in during patrol, it helps. And quite honestly, as a woman, if I'm going to enter a store that's totally covered with, you can't even see what's going on inside, I'm not really feel all that comfortable doing that. So it's really deterrent, I think, to their business as well. So I'm glad to see that that's on here, and I think that that's huge. If we could really, I'm sure, Bridget's here from the building department. I think if you guys worked closely with them, I think we could really make a difference and help the business owners. I think, it's a real positive thing for their businesses to have that happen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And let me just say, we did have some very productive conversations with yourself and with many stakeholders in the district. And the budget does reflect those conversations and the investment that we want to make in those storefronts. And I think what you have here is the opportunity for a great partnership between the municipality and
It might be a battery issue. She's not power.
You have the other one available?
There's one here. It's light, I don't know if it does anything.
Okay, now this one just went on.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Are we on the record now? I just want to reiterate what the Deputy Mayor said about storefronts and the importance of investing in that. This budget, definitely reflects that. But the partnership that I think is possible here between the municipality and the Business Improvement District is great. There's a lot of room for improvement. I do want to highlight something that I think that will be of interest, and that is we are intending on bringing in a specialist to work one-on-one with business owners on storefront design in general, which will also include window coverage, making sure that they're in compliance, but also making sure that the storefronts are being designed for their highest and best use to everybody's benefit, including the public safety aspect that you highlight, which we agree is a big deal. And by the way, part of a recent survey that we just recently completed underscored security on the avenue is something that the stakeholders would like us to focus on moving forward. And so that, along with additional lighting and things of that nature, I think will go a long way.
That's great, I'm glad to see it. And just one more thing, I'm hoping going forward that there could also be some coordination. You know, that the Hackensack Police Department likes to have certain events, and in the past, they've been hugely successful. I mean, and they come up with some, sounds crazy, but totally enjoyable ideas. I mean, remember the year we had the rodeo?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, we've had some really positive ways of bringing people into the city, and I know this year they're having the antique car show at Riverside Square. Not that I want to take business away from Riverside Square, I don't, but I think something like that on Main Street, like I'm hoping maybe next year that you folks will work your budget to coordinate with them if they're planning more of these types of events, that we can have this stuff happening downtown too.
Well, I promise this was not scripted, but I did in fact, in response to the Hackensack Police Department, I did indicate that we would be working closely with them next year to try to plan for a classic car show on Main Street that I think would really work, and perhaps we, could turn it into the biggest car show in Bergen County. So.
Perfect. I mean, yeah, I think having more and more of these events, ways to bring people into the downtown are great, so we appreciate it. That's my only question, so.
Anybody else, council? No, just looking forward to spring on Main Street. I'm looking to see how, the trees are in, more are coming. We're gonna, hopefully everything can be in bloom. And looking forward to some of the art stuff we have coming up. I know Arts Bergen. Talked with Albert, we're moving forward with Danielle's project that she's working on, so we're looking forward to that as well.
That's great, and there's plenty of room for partnership, and we are looking to work more closely with the city on identifying opportunities for capital improvements and, quite frankly, building on the great investment that the city has made in the streetscape, and really growing that and leveraging that investment. So.
Well, just getting the TAP grant straightened out, Lower Main, which we were waiting for that, it's $1 million grant and waiting for it to go through all the governmental rules and regulations to get the monies funded. But now that will complete it, and, then, as the mayor said, we really have to keep a close eye on these trees, because we knew there were issues with them last year when they were delivered, and we want to, while we're under warranty or guarantee with that, we want to make sure, if any of you see something, say something, any of the folks in the Alliance, you see some that really don't look too good, we want to get right on that and fix those things as well. So, sounds great. And a couple of the businesses, I'm seeing, the store, the bagel place, I think is the end. The lobster place is there, and rumors of some other entertainment type things are coming to town, so we're trying to get started. So I think we're starting to see a turn, so we appreciate all your help in getting started. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Okay. Next, Vince?
Next is a presentation by Stephen Gilbert regarding the library boxes. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
So, as you all know, through the Alex National Foundation, we were able to apply for and receive a $10,000 grant for a children's literacy project. And we've been working with Bridget in the planning department on identifying locations, private residences where we could put library boxes for children in the community to be able to access books at any given time, especially we're trying to get them done for this summer to make a summer reading program project. And we've got about 30 residents who have signed up to host a box. A lot of it, as I'm sure you can imagine, is concentrated in certain neighborhoods. So, we're going to be selective with the planning department and what might be the best locations in those neighborhoods. And we're trying to get more volunteers to the extent that any of you can assist. Down in the Carver Park area, in the First Ward, down by Hudson Street, and down in those areas, where we currently don't have anyone who's volunteered to host a box. I've reached out to 2 churches in town, and I reached out to someone else as well, one of the other organizations down in that area of town. But to the extent that anyone has volunteered, it's in the Carver Park specifically area of town, and down on the Hudson Street, First Ward, Second Ward. We're looking for volunteers down there as well. So we have our prototype box.
Nice.
Very nice.
And we're trying to make it colorful, inviting for the kids, whatnot. You've got your door, fill them up with books. We're going to put them on 4x4 posts, like a mailbox. right in front of any volunteers' houses, you know, in conjunction with the planning department, height, setbacks, whatnot, and, you know, they'll be a little bit lower because they are targeted towards children. And the last piece is just waiting on, I know that the librarians were out last week on a conference, but just waiting to hear back from them to the extent that, you know, their materials and whatnot, monthly or quarterly would be included in the boxes for the children that do attend them.
Quick
So,
question.
Really, any questions that you guys have?
I have a question, because when you mentioned the first word, we know we have a large Latino population in Hackensack. Are there gonna be any books available in Spanish?
Yes, so it's going to be, so a big part of this is, you know, trying to work with the library, like I've done in the past when we did the two milks and the laundromats, to try to introduce the children and their families to the resources that are at the library, which we did with the community baby shower and the laundry nooks, and the coat drive that we did with the library as well. So the idea here is to try to get the resources of the library in the boxes, and something we're gonna do to link the library to it, you know, just, you know, I don't wanna speak for them, waiting to hear back from them as to the extent that they wanna be, you know, collaborative on this, is our idea was to put, you know, in the books, which there will be Spanish and English targeted in those areas, putting in the books little like golden tickets, like Willy Wonka, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we will give the library, you know, movie gift certificates, pizza gift certificates to restaurants in town. And to the extent that, you know, kid reads a book, finds a certificate, they go to the library, and then the library has them as a captive audience to get them and their family into all the resources of the library.
Good idea. Awesome. That's good.
Stephen, any way we can help you if you think, I mean, we can always do things like, you know, get it on our website, maybe even, in our next newsletter, like, you know, tell them, you know, I'm sure the city has your information, like who to contact. Have you talked to the schools?
I was gonna say Jackson.
We could do that with, we're gonna meet with the school next week, I
Yep.
think, right? We could bring that up if you haven't. And like downtown, you know, Father Loeffler's a great advocate, we can talk with him if you haven't, or even M&M building, I mean, Bridget's here, you know, talk to, you know, maybe not in the M&M building, but maybe even on city property, it wouldn't matter, right? If-
Yeah, so that's the other thing is obviously Bridget connected with us with coincidentally students at Bergen Academies.
Okay.
We're looking to put they also want to put a library box in town, and they had thought of Machine Park. So Bridget connected me with them because I was already working on this, and I explained to them, you know, the reasons that the city might not want one on city property, and the limitations that are potentially there with that. So they are actually going to be helping us. They're going to do the painting of the boxes and whatnot, and helping us assemble them. And you know, the target is that hopefully within the next month, you know, I'll have after today's meeting, I'm going to give Bridget the list of addresses that have signed up, so that, you know, Bridget can scope those out and consult with the police department as well, just to, you know, check all the boxes on that. And then hopefully within the next month, we'll just do license agreements and start getting them installed. But hopefully within the next month.
We have the Easter egg hunt and opening day for baseball, so maybe flyers if you still need people in those wards, getting them out there.
Absolutely.
And certainly we could post it in the M&M building, like how to respond, because, you know, lots of families are coming in and out, and that might be a good way to say, oh, you know, this would be good for our neighborhood or so, but
Yeah,
whatever we can do to help, Stephen.
Absolutely. So to the
It's a
extent,
wonderful idea, we really.
the extent of advertising is absolutely through city newsletter, website, whatnot. So as soon as they are installed, I will get you all the information on that, flyers and whatnot that can be passed out.
How are you on manpower for the installation on post and digging and stuff? You think you might be needing something there?
How do you think? No, so the kids at the Bergen Academies, they're gonna help with the painting and whatnot.
Right.
For the actual installations, we're gonna rent a post digger and try to just go one Saturday afternoon and just hit everywhere with a 4x4 and a bag of concrete.
All right.
It shouldn't be too big of a lift.
If you need anything, we might be able to get some city volunteers. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Yep.
again, and please
Anything else?
please convey our thanks to everyone.
I will do. And to the extent that you said the schools, you said you have a meeting coming up with them, if you do want to mention it to them, because when I reached out on my original letter that kicked all this off, I haven't heard from anyone in the schools on any
We'll
of
bring
it.
it
We'll
up.
bring it up.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a presentation regarding the budget briefing from our CFO, James Manning.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Before I get into the budget briefing itself, let me just review the budget process, okay? At the business portion of tonight's meeting, you'll be voting to introduce the budget. Okay, once the budget's been introduced, it'll be up on the website tomorrow. We'll have copies available in the clerk's office. It'll be sent down to the state for them to approve it. And then at the next council meeting, at the April 26th meeting, is when I'll give the formal, detailed budget presentation. Tonight, I'm just gonna give a briefing, okay? But the April 26th meeting, we'll do the full budget presentation, assuming everything goes okay and we get our approval from the state. At the May 10th meeting, we'll have a public hearing on the budget. And again, assuming we get state approval, we would then vote on the adoption, okay? That's the process. But for tonight, I just want to talk about the budget in brief, okay? And this budget was a tough one. This was probably the toughest one that we've ever done. Yeah, and it could be summed up in one word, and pretty much that's COVID. In 2020, when we introduced the budget, that was the start of the pandemic. At the same time, if you remember, we did a COVID-19 financial response plan that the city manager and I worked on. And that was to combat the massive loss of revenue that we thought we were gonna see. What we didn't expect was that it was gonna last for 2 years. So the 2022 budget is $115,134,352. That is a large spending increase. That's a spending increase of about 3.6 million. Now, we've had spending increases before, but fortunately for us, we've had spending increases at the same time that we had increases in non-tax revenue. So the spending increases were wiped out by the increases in non-tax revenue. COVID kind of changed that equation. So this year we're looking at a spending increase with a pretty substantial decrease in non-tax revenue. Construction fees are still down because of COVID. Court revenue is still down because of COVID. Fees and permits are down. We expect that to come back, but it does make a problem for the budget. And I'll just address the 3.6 million quickly. The other part of COVID that is hurting us this year has to do with tax appeals. Now, we've been doing annual reassessments every year since 2015. That was part of our plan to curb the tax appeal refunds. Well, we put a 1-year hold on that for 2020 because of COVID. You know, wasn't a year to have appraisal systems going into people's homes and inspecting. Right? So we put a 1-year hold on it, okay? They're back doing the reassessments. And keep in mind what happened with the housing market in that same 1 year that we stopped doing reassessment. Housing market took off, okay? So the good news for us is that we're back on annual reassessments. Okay, we'll be doing them, we did them in 21, 22, 23, 24, okay? And we saw a substantial increase in total valuations, about $1.3 billion in total. That's the good news, okay? So even though the budget has a $3.3 million spending increase, and we were able to keep the tax levy increase down to 2.5 million, or just under a 3% increase to the levy, I am projecting a decrease in the municipal tax rate. Last year's municipal tax rate was 1.513, and I'm projecting this year's municipal tax rate to be 1.268, okay? So even though an increase in spending, and even though it's been a tough year, we will be seeing a drop in the municipal tax rate, okay? Getting back to the tax appeals. Now, when we didn't do reassessments for 2020, what happened was tax appeals went way up. So even though we're increasing the budget by 3.6 million, 2 million of that is for tax appeal refunds alone, okay? 1,058,000 of that 3.3 million is an increase in our pension costs, which we have no control over. And 444,000 of that increase is an increase to our insurance. And insurance is made up of three pieces. Our general liability insurance, which is way down, has been trending down for the last few years. Second piece is our health benefits. Health benefits have actually been flat for a couple of years. We've been negotiating higher co-pays, higher deductibles, and that's been able to keep our health benefit costs flat. Then there's workers' comp, and 2021 was our year for workers' comp. We got killed on it, okay? That's driving up the increase in insurance in 2022. So there's good news, there's bad news, okay? It is one of the largest spending increases we've seen. It is a 3% increase, or just under 3% increase to the tax levy, okay? But good news is that we're still projecting that we will again reduce the tax rate, which we've done every year since 2015, and this year will be no different. Okay? Like I said, copies of the budgets will be on the website tomorrow. You've all got the executive summary in your packets. If anybody has any questions on anything, I'd be happy to answer.
That's the only thing I would ask, and it's always a question I get asked, is on the average base house in Hackensack, based on your number, but I'm certainly not gonna hold you to it, because things could happen between now and finalization of the budget, is what type of increase would somebody be looking at on the average house?
Yeah, now with such a large change in valuations, last year the average home in Hackensack was assessed at $261,000, and the average municipal tax bill last year was $3,954. This year, the average home. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, this year.
I wish it was $3,054.
And on top of the
Just a
municipal loans.
Yeah, municipal, you're right.
Yeah, municipal is the only way to control.
That's all we had to pay.
Now, this year, the average home in Hackensack is assessed at $312,000.
Right.
Okay? And the municipal tax bill will be $3,965, or an increase of $11.08. Okay?
So it kind of like balances out.
Yeah, it's hard to do comparisons when the average home has changed so much.
Right.
You know, I can't compare last year's average home to that same home this year. And I can't use this home and compare it to last year. What I tell people, because we've all gotten a lot of phone calls, okay? I told people that my assessment, my condo in Hackensack went up $60,000. But when I calculate what my municipal tax bill is, my municipal tax bill is going down. You know? And I also tell people that, I don't have access to any information that's not public information, But in 2019, I bought my condo because I could see what the future of Hackensack was. I bought my condo knowing full well that my property value was gonna go up, my tax rate was gonna go down. What's happened since 2019? Well, my property value has gone up and my municipal tax rate has gone down, It's, this is pretty much what we mapped out way back in 2015.
Okay, good. And
I'll have more
people, when they
details.
get their reassessments, they say, in their minds right away, a lot of people will see that my house went up $80,000 on 20% or 25%. My taxes are gonna go up 25%.
Yeah, and you can understand why people would think that.
Right.
And then they come to us and they say, well, what's the rate? We won't know the rate. We won't know the full rate,
So the
the
county-
estimated rate,
Right.
until June, When I do the budget presentation later this month, I'll have an estimated rate, But remember, the county didn't pass the budget last year until the third week of September.
Wow.
So the people can make an appeal just in the assessment or have to wait after June?
Well, remember, since we're doing reassessments, anybody who wants to file appeal has until May 1st. Normally, the deadline is April 1st, okay? a lot of people wanna wait to see what the tax rate is, and fortunately, we won't have it by May first, you know? Cause you gotta remember, and this is like, there's a misnomer, when you say file a tax appeal. You're not appealing your taxes, you're appealing your assessment. The little postcard that you get is your assessment and tells you if you disagree with your assessment, you have the right to file an appeal.
Right.
Just unfortunate that it's called a tax appeal. It's not, it's an assessment appeal.
Well, it's kind of unfair. People that want to appeal their assessment, but they can't do it because we're not done till June, so they really, you know, they wait till the next year, and then the city ends up paying, what, the interest?
Interest and attorney
Interest
fees.
and attorney's
It hurts
fees.
everyone.
If there's
On
some,
that, if they're
They're
successful,
successful.
so it's kind of like, you know, makes no sense, you would think they would wait till after the budget, see, everybody looks at what they have and whether they feel they should file a claim, but it doesn't work like that, so.
see, in hindsight, had we elected not to discontinue the annual assessments, instead of seeing a sharp jump in one year, we would have seen a half increase in 2020, or 2021, and then the rest of it in 2022.
Right.
But I still think that was the right decision, okay? People did not want strange people coming into
No.
their house
I
to
agree.
inspect, you know? So we did the best with what we could.
Yep.
And I think another part of the important message is, I mean, when folks really need to be concerned is if your assessed value jumps up in isolation. I mean, you know, so you're the only one or you're one of a scant few, but that's not true. You know, based on the fact, like you said, the entire assessed value went up by how much in the city?
1.3 billion.
Right, so that's telling you that probably everyone's assessed value changed in some way, and in a positive way, which is what's driving the tax rate down. But I still would like the public to know, if you're really concerned, if you feel, wow, this is a big jump for me, you know, and I think what we're saying on average, it's over 22%, right, that the total went up.
Residential, yes.
Yeah, I think residential, in general, we're seeing it go up about 22%. So if you had a percentage that was really through the roof, make an appointment and come in and talk to the tax assessor. Because then you can go over it with them, they will explain to you what happened or why, or if something was done in error, you can get it corrected. So, you know, do it before May 1st. Come in, that's available to everyone.
Yeah, and that's actually very good advice.
You come in and you get it resolved, because then if you really still feel, this is a problem, I have a problem, you can file an appeal by May 1st, you can take that chance and do it. So, you know, my advice, when people call me, just like they call everyone, or see me in ShopRite and say, oh, just the person I wanted to see about my taxes. But, you know, that's the advice I'm telling folks, is, you know, understand this was across the board, so you're gonna see a drop in the rate, and as you're saying, you know, it's gonna not be, or it shouldn't be, you know, a huge change in the taxes. But if you feel, wow, mine really is out of control, come in and get an answer. Because you're gonna sleep a lot better, you're gonna feel a lot better if you do. So, I think that's advice that we should definitely share with people.
Yep. Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Usual, great job. Vince?
Yes, sir. Next on the agenda is discussion regarding the resolution that's on for city parks. This is addressing to 2022 summer hours. There was a 1-hour extension at one of the parks to accommodate some adult sporting activities. Number 5 is an ordinance regarding introduction of an ordinance regarding the recreation department and the rental fee schedule, which has been changed. We made some changes to the fee schedule for the recreation department and their rental agreements. Number 6 is a resolution regarding a shared service between TNEC and Hackensack for dispatch services, which is partially funded by a LEAP grant, which is on for tonight. Number 7 is regarding some new bus shelters that we were able to get approval for. We had applied for 5 of them, and I believe we received that they will install 4. It's no cost to the city for the bus shelters. However, we maintain them after they install them, and we just need to, whatever dirt is excavated in the process, we have to get rid of. That's the only city's part in that. So some much needed shelters on State Street and on Prospect Avenue in those areas, the specific locations. If anybody needs to know where they are, I can provide them to them. Last but not least, is the CSO and Stormwater and Parks update. That'll be done by Ryan Westra, our project manager.
Ryan?
Good evening.
Evening, Ryan.
Get right to it. For the CSO surcharge construction status, the Clay Street Sewer Separation Project is still ongoing. This update is from March 22nd to the 30th. Approximately 114 lineal feet of stormwater box culvert has been installed. This was from where we left off on Main Street on West Camden, head west across State Street, and we're just right up to edge of Lot U right now to finish connecting where they started when this project started. I think about another week of that, and we should have everything connected. 243 lineal feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer was also installed on West Camden. The old sewer had to get ripped out, we put the box culvert and we put new in for the few businesses that are over in that area. 12 lineal feet of 16-inch ductile iron pipe. 207 lineal feet of 18-inch structural lining was installed. This was between 390 and 406 on Prospect Ave. 122 square yards of sidewalk, new sidewalk installed on Union and Clay Street. 44 lineal feet of curb, and 109 square feet of driveway restoration. The current construction, is like I said, it's the box culvert across State Street. We're working on Lot U right now. And we're also working on the restoration of curb and sidewalk on West Camden. And that's been closed for several weeks, almost a month at this point, and about another week and a half, we'll have that base asphalt and opened up again for traffic. The, some other items put in place, again, that was area's been finished. We just haven't heard back from that resident, so I'm assuming everything is okay. I reached out, but I didn't get a response. Voorhees Lane Pump Station, the Joseph M. Sanzari is scheduled to begin this Thursday, the lineal work, which is in Voorhees Lane through the Pano roofing property. That work is gonna remove a couple hydraulic restrictions that we have. The pipe kind of doesn't run in a straight line, we're gonna straighten that out, and also install the underground bypass, which is ahead of the new pump station that is gonna be done in the fall of this year. The pre-construction meeting for that was held on the 30th of this month, which was awarded to Jay Fletcher Kramer, and due to the material lead times, that's what takes the time, but it's not gonna get installed in the fall, but they're currently procuring all the necessary materials now. The large diameter sanitary CCTV and cleaning, Vortex, the contractor, has been working on McKinley, Liberty, and Hudson Streets. They've done almost a mile of 8-inch sewer pipe, 4,038 lineal feet, and they've also done 190 lineal feet of the 12-inch sewer. Hudson Street, which includes Warner and Kennedy Street, that is ongoing. And before we get to the parks, I just have some engineering updates. It's not on one of the slides, but I'd just like to add. Clay Street Contract 3, which is the railroad out to Park Street. The anticipated bid advertisement is going to be on April 7th, and the bid award will be May 10th. The Anderson Street CCTV planning effort, that has already been awarded, so we're looking for an anticipated start date for this month. Anderson Street separation, which is part of the state fiscal year 2022 principal forgiveness. We're looking to bid that project on 5/11 and hopefully award on the 6/14 council meeting. Clay Street west of the rail, which is state fiscal year 2023 principal forgiveness. That anticipated to be advertised for bid in August. And the green infrastructure project, which is in that area west of the rail, is also going to be in August. Another thing to add about the Pine Street project, the contractor is having some issues procure the proper material. So we're looking at alternatives in pipe size and material so that we could get that project started sooner. And on tonight's meeting, we have a resolution for a change order 3 for Clay Street, which incorporates a lot of the structural lining changes that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
For the park updates.
Ryan, if I may, before we start with the park, talking about, you know, the green infrastructure grant and the work that's being done, could you just give us some idea, or do you know of any things that they're now considering as what they will be adding or looking to add to, again, assist with the flooding, et cetera, by using green infrastructure?
Yep, the green infrastructure project for this portion, which will be the west of the rail, which is basically from west of the rail up to Third Street and from Passaic down to Central, that area. There's gonna be approximately 25, I believe the manufacturer name is called Tetra. They're tree wells. There's gonna be a tree planted and then an underground system that filters out impurities. And the water gets filtered back into the system. So they're gonna be scattered, throughout that whole area.
Great, and again, eventually, maybe we could just get some more information like this,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
folks understand what absorption, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
what we
pictures.
really see by doing this, because some of it's quite amazing. You
Mhm.
know? So, you know, not only does it look nice to have the trees, but when you realize the really great job they're doing to helping all of this is
I'll make
really
note of
nice.
that, and we'll have, some details and pictures.
Yeah, I think folks would like to hear that.
Okay. Park updates for, I only have for Columbus. A lot of the demolition was done of the existing courts. Everybody's been, out there, go by and take a look. The existing courts were demoed and, some of the finished grading has been done. And the new post-tension structural slabs are gonna start back, in about 2 to 3 weeks. And which brings me to, the choice of colors for the court surfaces I have here. It's gonna be for the tennis, futsal, and, or volleyball, futsal, and the basketball courts. We're gonna mimic what the new courts that were done by the high school, the tennis courts, as well as the Carver Park courts that were finished about 2 years ago. So I have, what our recommendations are to match those colors. If anyone wants to take a look, and we'll confirm those and let the, I'll bring it up when I speak faster out. And, let the, contractor know so they can have all that. And the next item is, we're looking to apply for a Bergen County open space grant. The original thought was to include this, at the corner of Railroad Ave and Clay Street. There's basically just a swing set at this point. So we're gonna come through with our sewer separation through that area, and we had the opportunity to improve the park. So, as you can see the rendering, it's a whole new play system, with, play equipment for 5 to 12-year-olds. Also an ADA parking spot and, it's gonna be fenced in and, with 2 access points. I know that there's, future redevelopment plans for this area, so the grant is just for the park itself, so we could switch it to the southern end if we need to, because I know that's a PSC&G easement on that side that we could go over. So any questions on?
Ryan, just confirming the playground is ADA accessible too?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, yep, and it's gonna have the safety surface, not mold storms.
Great.
Less maintenance.
Thank you.
I guess, you know, just coordinating with Albert about, you know, if there's any way we can get this, new, sewer line put in a place where we could still have the development that we're
Yeah.
hoping to get there, it would be worth it.
Absolutely, it's towards the northern edge of that, basically
Okay.
going along the curb line of the Clay Street, so that's as far.
That's good, that's
And then
good.
it's gonna head north back on the Clay Street and then up Clay Street, so it's basically that, northeastern corner of
Good.
that current. And that, the letter of intent for Bergen County is due, this Friday, so I have another, if anybody, sign that if we all agree on this part, we're ready to go.
It's good to me.
Yeah, it sounds good, I mean, especially, I think it will really enhance what we have there now, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a little better than the swing set.
That's great, that's great.
And we'd like to see the color chart, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up right now.
Thank you.
Actually,
And then,
I have one here, Jen.
that's it for this.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Is that the same? Yeah, it's a little better.
That's all I.
That's it? All right. Need a motion to open to the public, please?
Yes, yes. All right.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who would like to speak, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one from the public, the motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Wait. Mr. Zerko, did you want to come up?
No?
You made a move. I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Going once, going twice.
Guess not.
So,
See?
there we go.
I told you.
Listed his own.
All right, it's about taxes, of course, absolutely. And Mr. Mangan, thank you for going through that whole process of the assessments going sky high, and you can't really sort of get the tax rate until much later in the year. So, you know, you're on the fence thinking, hey, should I appeal my taxes or not? So it's a crapshoot, you know, you take a chance if you have to. But some of these assessments were done from an office laptop. No one came to these homes, and they assessed them very high, okay? I mean, okay, it makes you feel good that everything is worth so much now in Hackensack, like, wow, okay? But it's bogus, okay? So people have to do a reassessment, I imagine. I already called for one, and I guess they will do one before May 1st. So at least by May 1st, you know what the heck is going on in some way. But I'm glad Mr. Mangan went through the whole thing. He explained it. It was almost like he was reading my mind the last few days. Perfect, so thank you for that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay. We're gonna be going back into.
Do we need to go back into executive or we're done? Steve?
I'd like to see, I see Nancy Holman's here.
Speak with Nancy.
Nancy Holman.
Yeah, we're gonna go to closed session for a couple minutes.
So we're gonna go back, okay, then we can't close
Yes.
anything until we
We'll
come
be
back.
back.
Yes, we're going into closed session to discuss the affordable housing litigation. I don't believe we discussed any other specific cases in closed session. So just that.
Okay.
Okay,
See everybody at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.